What is up? What is up, YouTube? How y'all doing, man? I'm sitting here. Oh man, I'm sitting here playing the bass. I got instruments and stuff. Keyboard. You can't see the keyboard right here. Can y'all see the keyboard? Yeah, y'all can see the keyboard. Look, the piano. You know, got my little studio set up. We've been playing and messing around with some music and stuff. But check this out, man. It's been sitting up here for quite some time. Terrence Howard exposes how the industry breaks young rappers. The Baby, Petey Pablo, and more. What? Man, how they break the Baby? Oh man, y'all come on, man. I hope. Do y'all think the Baby is undercover? Every time I look, man, I'm finding a new undercover person. Lord have mercy. I don't know what they look like. I don't know. I take a person for what they are and go from there. But let's see what Terrence Howard is talking about, y'all. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. Check this out, man. Don't forget about the World's Largest Rap Contest. The World's Largest Rap Contest.com. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to do too many things at one time. Get ready to get a head freeze. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let's check it out, man. Here we go.
Rappers, they're all so tough until you hear their real name.
Yeah, well, until you see them at a puffy party.
Oh.
Then they're not tough no more. I'm surprised that the rap game is still alive because the masculinity that the rappers are supposed to portray, perform on me. And you get your deal. That was what I heard while I was on Empire about some of the people in the business. And Petey Pablo, you remember Petey Pablo?
I know who that is.
Petey Pablo, talented writer, singer. Him and Young Buck wrote a song called Ho Is On. And in that song, back in about 2011 or 29 or something, because he called out all of the taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business. No radio station would play his stuff. So you look for Petey Pablo, he's not around anymore. Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, he wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at it. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. He's sitting there, just looking at it, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to get him.
The music industry has the power to build stars overnight, but it also has the power to destroy them just as quickly. And when someone gets erased from the spotlight, it often happens quietly, without explanation. That's exactly what happened to Petey Pablo. Once a Southern rap icon, Petey exploded onto the scene in the early 2000s with chart-topping hits and a signature sound that had the whole country spinning their shirts like helicopters. But as fast as he rose, he vanished. And now, actor Terrence Howard is pulling back the curtain, suggesting that Petey's fall wasn't a coincidence. According to him, Petey Pablo didn't just fade into obscurity. He was systematically broken and blackballed by a powerful industry that demands silence and submission. What happened to Petey Pablo might be more than just a career slump. It could be a cautionary tale about what happens when you refuse to play by the industry's rules.
For 1 year, out of being locked up for 6 years, I was a millionaire. And that was the craziest thing in the world. Like, I sat on the corner. The day we signed the deal, me and my partner Fab, I remember we had like $7 and like almost $8. And we bought us 240s of Old English 800. 2 egg rolls from a little Chinese spot. And it was raining. And we sat outside and we cried like motherfuckers, like babies, bro. I done it. Like it was hard at times. Again, I wanted to quit. I was already 20 something years old and I'm sleeping on somebody's couch. I'm staying in New York. I'm the only thing, because I've never been a slouch, so the only thing that I know that I can do for the people that I'm staying with is make sure that they house clean and make sure that they dishes washed, and make sure if they needed something from the store, I would run to the store for them. But I was that dude before I went to prison. You know what I mean? I was that, my money was straight. You know what I mean? I was the big dog before I went. And so here I am now washing people's dishes and, sweeping their house up. And it was hard for a dude that was on a certain level in life, as a street guy, to have to humble himself to just survive. You know what I mean? Because I refused. Sure, I had people in New York that wanted to hand me something. Hey, man, come on, man. We know who you are. Hey, man, we know your brother. We know that. Hey, man, we remember you from back. Hey, man, here, take this and get yourself. I'm not doing that. Because if I do something wrong, then all of this would have been for nothing. You know what I mean? I came home from doing 6 years and left everything and everyone that I knew and I loved to go to a place in pursuit of my dream. I was determined to make this dream happen. And I can't get up here and do something stupid and mess around and get myself caught up in something. I'm already in New York. And, anything can happen in New York. You know what I mean? A lot of people went up there and they never come back.
Petey Pablo. Petey Pablo is about to sign with Death Row. You feel me? And that in the booth, and he said something. He said, put Suge's name in it. And Suge just walked through the door. It's like 30 Bloods and Crips. You could tell it was hating. The tension was in that. I ain't with none of that Blood Crip, but I say Blood and Cuz in the same sentence, nigga. I'm a real nigga. I'm an East Oakland nigga, so I can do that.
We're attempting to save the victim.
So the whole point is, I ain't gonna disrespect you. If you're a Crip, I ain't gonna keep blooding you. If you're a Blood, I ain't gonna cuz you. That just ain't how I get out. I'm gonna do respect, right? But all my real, though, you feel me? Most of them, that was real hitters. You feel me? At the same time, that Petey put the name, Suge's name in the song, and hey, cut the music. That went into the booth and closed the curtain. Right? We're like, what's going on? About 3 minutes later, the curtain over. Session over. What the you mean session over? We just got here. Session was over. I don't know what that said to that, but I guess he didn't want that nigga to say his name in the song, period. Cut that whole session over. I ain't heard from Petey Pablo since.
Petey Pablo didn't exactly have a smooth entry into the world of music. After spending time in prison on robbery charges in the early 1990s, he redirected his energy and channeled it into his passion, music. He eventually crossed paths with Timbaland, one of the most influential producers of that era, and together, they created what would become Petey's breakout hit. In 2001, Raise Up dropped, produced by Timbaland. And it wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural moment. The song became an anthem for the South, and the lyrics, North Carolina, come on and raise up, turned into a chant at concerts, parties, and sports arenas. The song peaked at number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100 and helped Petey's debut album, Diary of a Sinner, first entry, earn a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Album in 2003. That album went gold, proving that Petey wasn't a one-hit wonder.
Today, when you say North Carolina, everybody want to raise up. It's like, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling, and I'm still humbled because I'm such a hometown country boy that I don't feel, there's nothing bigger than the group, and Carolina is the group. So I don't feel like what everybody looks at me as, but it's just an amazing feeling.
Did you ever imagine it would be as big as it's gotten?
Never. All I wanted, and I was just inducted into the Carolina Music Hall of Fame.
Right.
So in my speech, I said, only thing I wanted was for a state that never had the recognition to be recognized. Because my label was like, Petey, we can't put this song out because don't nobody know what North Carolina is. And I'm like, well, this is all I'm giving you right now. So you got to work with what you got. So they was like, well, at least go back and put all the cities' names in there. So I'm like, okay, but this one was the one.
2 years later, in 2004, Petey dropped his sophomore album, Still Writing in My Diary, second entry, which featured his biggest hit to date, Freak a Leak. The track became a staple in clubs and on radio stations, reaching number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and going platinum in the ringtone era, when digital sales were exploding. Petey Pablo was everywhere. BET, MTV, award shows, and collaborations with artists like Ciara and Lil Jon. For a moment, it felt like he was poised to be one of the defining voices of Southern hip-hop. But that moment was short-lived.
And our own, that's the young people. That is gonna come up. I bought Petey Pablo's Diary of a Sinner. Petey Pablo, I love him. My kids, Dad, who is this country dude? He's a rapper. North Carolina, raise up, put your shirt on, twist it around your head like a helicopter. That's my cut, man. I actually took my shirt off. I've been caught up in it off. Then he got Diary of a Sinner. I love the song about when he was down to he thought he was dead broke. I had scraping up change in the ashtray, 2 cigarettes. He didn't know how he was gonna make it. That song, I listen to that to this day before I go to work, because it reminds me. Because it ain't always been this way. You know, you can't get this life. First of all, it's a blessing. This is grace and favor, you know. This ain't, your life ain't really supposed to be like this. I ain't really done nothing to deserve this. This is grace. This God just gave me a lot of grace, man. I really, on the real, I take no credit for where I am today. You know, I work hard, I'm funny, but this life I got, this crazy.
Despite having 2 successful albums and a solid fan base, Petey Pablo's career took a strange turn. After 2004, his visibility dropped off sharply. He wasn't putting out new music, wasn't getting featured on tracks, and was noticeably absent from festivals and award shows. While artists like T.I., Young Jeezy, and Ludacris continued to ride the Southern rap wave, Petey seemed to disappear. And that disappearance raised eyebrows. Why would an artist with back-to-back hits suddenly go silent? According to Terrence Howard, it wasn't because Petey lacked talent or made poor business decisions. It was because he refused to conform.
Because they accused him of fondling or touching someone at a bar.
Oh, yeah.
At a bar, and then they accused him of touching some dude.
It sounded like
Puffy's thing. I'm like, dude,
I mean,
that's not Cuba. He wouldn't. I can't imagine.
Really?
Cuba touching some man. No.
A man.
A man. Yeah.
What is it? You know, what is it with all the man-on-man action that I'm learning about? I mean, like with the Puffy parties. Like the last thing I ever thought that went on there was gay stuff. Not that gay stuff was wrong. It's wonderful. I just did not think that's what Puffy was doing.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think it either. And even when my assistant said that stuff, I still was like joking it off. And it wasn't until later on that I heard other things from people that worked from him. You know, you remember that back in the times of slavery, they had a thing called breaking the buck, where they would take, not to go in a bad place, but this is how I see what's happening, the parallels with what's happening correlates what's happening in the business. If they, back in the times of slavery, if they had like some 12-year-old slave that was just full of himself and confident and, you know, wasn't listening, they would tie him to a log or a barrel, and a bunch of the overseers would them, to where when he walked around with the slaves now, he didn't have the confidence.
Sure.
He was broken, and it was called breaking the buck.
Wow.
And that's still taking place. And so to hear that people in the industry are still making young rappers who have fought the worst of circumstances, being disenfranchised, being discounted, and then they finally like, I'm gonna put it into music. I'm gonna do it in the music. I'm gonna, get myself together, and they go and see someone, and they tell them, okay, yeah, you can have a deal. You know, perform on me, and you get your deal. That was what I heard while I was on Empire about some of the people in the business. And Petey Pablo, you remember Petey Pablo?
I know who that is.
Petey Pablo, talented writer, singer. Him and Young Buck wrote a song called Ho Is On. And in that song, back in about 2011 or 29 or something, because he called out all of the taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business. No radio station would play his stuff. So you look for Petey Pablo, he's not around anymore. But that song, Hold Its Own, they did not care, and they went all in on it.
Terrence Howard has spoken openly about what he believes goes on behind closed doors in the entertainment industry. He hinted that artists who resist certain behind-the-scenes pressures, whether that means compromising their integrity, attending elite parties, or remaining silent about questionable activities, often find themselves shut out. And he says that's exactly what happened to Petey Pablo. Petey reportedly questioned the system, challenged the people in charge, and refused to be a pawn. And for that, the industry turned its back on him. He went from mainstream darling to persona non grata in record time. Terrence Howard's personal story with Petey Pablo sheds even more light on the rapper's character. Back in 2005, Howard was at an event in Los Angeles and found himself in a jam. He'd forgotten his wallet and couldn't pay. Petey Pablo, without hesitation, handed him $200. It was a simple act of kindness, but Howard never forgot it. Fast forward to 2015, and Howard was starring in Empire, the #1 show on television at the time. When producers needed an actor to play an inmate in one of the show's prison storylines, Howard remembered Petey Pablo.
No, the whole Terrence story, that was a whole story within itself. Anyway, because the reason that I got that role on Empire was, like Cherry said, I'm just that guy. I just so happened to run into Terrence Howard in the Four Seasons Hotel, and I was like, "Hey, what's up, man? That's Terrence, the Hustle and Flow. Oh man, what's up?" He's like, "Man, I listen to all your stuff." He was like, even when I was on Hustle and Flow, he was like, "I listen to your music." You know, he said I was trying to act like Petey Pablo, and that's crazy to me. You know,
you did.
So I said, "Hey man, we all going out. What's up? You want to come out?" And he was like, "Nah, man, I'm going through a little something right now, man. I lost my wallet, lost my credit cards and everything, so I'm just going up to my room, man." So I was like, "Damn, you lost." So I reached in my pocket and pulled out $200. He was like, "Here, take it." He was like, "Here." He was like, I was like, "No, man, you just don't be walking around with nothing in your pocket. Like, here." And I gave him the money and I walked off. So fast forward, 13 years later, I get a phone call. And this was a couple years ago. He was like, "Is this Petey?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "First of all, I need you to see." He's like, "This is Terrence Howard." I was like, "Damn, what's up, bro? I ain't heard from you in years." Last time, he was like, "Yeah, last time I seen you, something happened between us. And I need you to send me your address because I owe you some money." And I was like, "Nah, bro, you don't owe me no money." He was like, "Bro, send me your address or I'm going to hang the phone up and and you'll never hear from me again." So I'm like, okay. So I give him my phone, my address. 2 days later, I get a check for $15,000.
Dang, what a great investment.
Crazy, right? Crazy. So I called him back and I was like, "Bro," he was like, "Listen, you do not realize that at that time, I didn't lose my wallet." He was like, "I just said that because I was so embarrassed that I was going through what I was going through in life." And he was like, "Effortlessly, you just reached in your pocket and handed me money and didn't really even know me. You knew me from watching me on TV. You know, we had never had a conversation or anything." And he was like, and people that I've known for years had denied me at that point in time in his life. And he was like, and he was really in a bad place. He was like, for me to reach in my pocket and effortlessly just do an act of kindness that way, he was like, it changed his thought about life. And I was like, "Man, that's really crazy." He was like, "Now we got that out of the way. Now I need you to help me on this Empire situation."
Hey, Petey, what's next for you? We saw you on the set of Empire. Saw you doing your thing on Empire. Are you going back to the set? But you said you got to go to LA first, actually.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, I'm still writing music for the show. Mm-hmm. And Terrence is my brother, you know, and that's another thing. Again, I don't want to speak too much about it because, you know, when I get uneasy feelings about certain situations, you know, sometimes my mouth will put me in situations where I'll be walking around looking like I have lost everything in the world. Like, what did I just say? Mm-hmm. I did not just say that publicly, but I will, you know, and really don't mind it. But I mean, I understand that there are dire consequences behind some of the things that I say. But
Terrence Howard is my brother, and there's nothing that man cannot ask me to do besides some of that stuff they do on TV. No.
Clear that up right now.
No, but that's my brother, man. And you know, whatever I can do to help him and the show, man, I mean, I'm always there. And you know.
That connection landed Pablo a small role on Empire, where he played an inmate alongside Howard's character, Lucius Lyon. Not only that, but Pablo also wrote the track, Snitch, which was featured in the show. The song brought him $15,000 in revenue and gave him a brief return to the spotlight. But it wasn't a full-blown comeback. It was a thank you from Howard, a nod to someone who had shown him loyalty and integrity. Unfortunately, even with the exposure from Empire, the industry still had no interest in reviving Pablo's career. His name was still absent from radio, major labels, and tour lineups. In 2010, Petey Pablo made headlines for all the wrong reasons. He was arrested at Raleigh-Durham International Airport for attempting to bring a stolen, loaded Smith & Wesson pistol onto a flight. He was charged with possession of a stolen firearm and sentenced to nearly 3 years in federal prison. On the surface, it seemed like another artist sabotaging his own career. But when you look at the bigger picture, things don't add up. Other rappers, T.I., Lil Wayne, Meek Mill, have all served time and returned to massive support from labels and fans. Their prison stints became part of their narrative, part of their redemption arc.
Petey Pablo, let me just say something right quick. Hip-hop, anybody who got a respect for hip-hop, you listen to your right now. Suge, y'all gotta respect what Suge done did for the game, okay? Regardless of the negativity that the media has portrayed, that man is hip-hop history. You understand what I'm saying? That man is hip-hop history. When was on and cracking and that man was in the media without negativity, y'all was all on his. Then as soon as the white man or whoever come in and try to say what the man that did wrong, who he was involved with, I want to let him go. Stop doing that to people in the industry. Judge them off your own merit. Don't let no other rapper say something about one rapper and you take from that one. You understand what I'm saying? Stick with it. Be a true fan. Don't be no whole fan. You know what I'm saying? If you dedicated, be dedicated and stuff. If not, we don't need you because you're going to eat anyway. Don't eat anyway. You understand what I'm saying? It's new in the system. Where you at, Remy? Where you at, Jay? Where you at, Jay? It's new in the system. Ain't nobody just trying to shake their in the videos no more. We about to get money. It's about network and communication. You understand what I'm saying?
But for Petey, the industry showed no such mercy. His prison sentence was treated like a final nail in the coffin rather than a temporary setback. Why? Wow. Because, unlike the others, Petey no longer had institutional backing. He wasn't protected by powerful labels or influential managers. He had already been blackballed before the arrest, and the charges just gave the industry an excuse to keep him out permanently.
Just imagine, I'm watching Petey Pablo in his car, and my brother, Big Spider, in his passenger seat doing this. And Petey Pablo letting him unscrew his earrings. Rest in peace, Del Dog from Main Street. If it wasn't for Del Dog pulling up, not demanding, but really politicking, pleading, begging my brother, because he had interest with Petey Pablo that he needed Petey Pablo to feel like, I'm safe with you, I was here with you. So Del Dog really pleaded to my brother to give him that pass, which was a very hard pass for my brother to get. But I just seen Petey Pablo sit there and allow a nigga to screw his earrings out and didn't do nothing.
Damn.
Am I lying, Petey Pablo?
Man, Suge just pretended like he wasn't around or didn't, because wasn't Petey Pablo actually signed to Death Row at one point or was gonna sign?
This is the thing. With Suge, it had nothing to do with Petey Pablo. It had everything to do with when he got with us. My brother M.O., his whole interest, his approach was to ask Suge permission. Is it okay for me to get down like that around here while we moving around? And just before it was even a Petey Pablo to think about, and my brother getting that Suge like that, when nobody in particular was the person we're talking about, Suge kind of gave him the green light and let him know, I know how you get down, and when we moving, that's in the game too. You know, just don't be messy, cross nobody up, implicate nothing. Suge ain't robbing nobody, he ain't got nothing to do with it, but he was trying to let my brother know, I know how you get down, and when shit go down, if it go down, don't feel like I think you offending me or, backdoing. Green light, just keep it clean as far as don't have me crossed up. That was just the understanding. And Petey Pablo just somebody else, so that was just the understanding. Suge wasn't gonna let Petey Pablo feel like, oh, you watch me get robbed. Nah. Suge still gonna have a position with Petey Pablo like I'm at least try to see what I could do. And Suge was cool enough to where he might negotiate a few coins up out of Petey Pablo on our behalf for him to get them earrings back. It was that type of understanding. You feel me? So I'm just letting you know it's nothing new for that type of be going down. Like Petey Pablo, yeah, he was sitting there real comfortable, calm, letting the through his earrings.
Terrence Howard has repeatedly spoken out about the dark side of fame. He's not alone. Other artists like Jaguar Wright, Orlando Brown, and even Kanye West have echoed similar claims about an elite system that controls access, silences dissent, and rewards compliance. Howard believes there's a cult-like energy in the entertainment business, where success often comes at the cost of integrity. He's described situations where actors and musicians are pressured to compromise themselves in exchange for roles, record deals, or public favor. Petey Pablo isn't the only artist whose rise was cut short under suspicious circumstances. In fact, when you start looking closely at the careers of young rappers who were once tied to industry giants like Diddy, Jay-Z, and even Birdman, a disturbing pattern starts to emerge. These artists came in with raw talent, charisma, and in many cases, major cosigns from the most powerful names in the game. But somewhere along the way, their momentum vanished, and many of them were never heard from again.
All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. In 30 years, I've done nothing but collect information, knowledge, and your secrets.
Go back and watch the Math Hop interview. I kind of like broke it down, and Math was trying to get me to say the names and like really say names. I'm like, I ain't gotta do that because I don't want to brothers' lives up like that. Yeah. But I'll say this: the music business is ran by the devil. So the music business is only designed to get as many people to go away from God as possible. So what happens is, the devil needs workers, and by workers, he needs people who have influence, who can mislead or misguide people away from the light into the darkness.
So I was that kid out there, and they were great friends. They embraced me, man. And my whole crowd was always black. I never thought I'd ever play for white people until my music went #1. And when it went #1, all of a sudden my crowds I went from smaller crowds to huge stadiums. In rap music, it just hadn't been done like that before. So for me, I was just like, whoa.
Take Shine, for example, a young rapper from Belize who was being groomed as the next big star under Diddy's Bad Boy Records in the late 90s. He had the voice, the street credibility, and a debut album that went platinum. But everything came crashing down in 1999. When he took the fall for a nightclub shooting involving Diddy and Jennifer Lopez. Shine ended up serving nearly 10 years in prison, while Diddy walked away unscathed. By the time Shine got out, the industry had moved on, and Diddy never truly helped revive his career. Some believe Shine's silence in court was bought, while others think he was sacrificed to protect bigger players.
When we were on our way to court, I knew that they were setting Shine up to take the fall. When Shine decided to get his own lawyers, I knew that they was gonna set Shine up to take the fall. These guys in the industry wanna act like that they didn't know that Puff helped send Shine to jail.
Then there's G-Dap, another bad boy artist with a promising future. In the early 2000s, he dropped Special Delivery, which became a street anthem. But behind the scenes, he was struggling with guilt. In 2010, he walked into a police station and confessed to a cold case he had committed years earlier. That confession landed him 15 years to life. Diddy had little to say about it. Many questioned why so many artists tied to Bad Boy seemed to suffer tragic or bizarre fates while Diddy continued to thrive.
Right, so pretty much the whole time you was in prison, he didn't reach out to you?
Yeah, you know? Yeah, man. Shout out to him too, man.
Yeah, I mean, he going through a lot right now. How you feel about everything Diddy going through right now? Like his houses getting ready for trafficking. How you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I feel like, whatever's going on, he need, you know, he's gonna handle it. However, whatever happens, you know, whatever transpires, you know what I mean? I mean, like I said, man, I don't know what happened. I don't even know what's going on. You know where I was at. You know what I mean? So, you know, I hope the brother get around it, man. You know what I mean? Whatever's going on.
You know, the easy person to blame is Diddy because everybody blame him for stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's dope, man. For you to be like, yo, I did this or I did that, you know.
I mean, yeah, man. I mean, it's real, man. I mean, you know, you can't run around. I don't know, man. I don't really subscribe to that though. You know what I mean? Like you can't. You gotta look at what's really going on. You know, a lot of times, you know, I don't know if that's something that I developed, and you know, I don't know when that developed. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the truth is, you know, the truth is just important. Like, you know what I mean? At some point in my life, I realized that, you know, truth is just, you know, genuineness is important, and that kind of, you know, trickles out into, you know, anything you really can do. Like, you know, be truthful. Why do you think you got dropped? You know what I'm saying? It's all about truth. Like, you know what I'm saying? Why do you think? Come on, honestly. You know what I mean? Don't fool yourself. You only lying to yourself. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like, you know what I mean?
Over in Jay-Z's camp, similar questions have been raised. Remember Memphis Bleek? He was once seen as Jay-Z's protege and was supposed to inherit the Rockefeller throne. But despite multiple albums and major backing, Bleek never really broke through. His career plateaued, and he quietly faded out of the spotlight. Jay-Z once said, Bleek could be one hit away his whole career, but that hit never came. And some critics say Jay-Z never truly invested in developing Bleek as a standalone star. He was more of a shadow figure in the dynasty.
Landed in LA, homie pulled up on you and said, is this Memphis Bleek and Jay-Z album ever gonna happen? Was it an EP?
Yeah.
Because I have never heard.
Man, this dude right here is a beast. This Bama right here was all that. Oh my gracious!
Heard of that? Was
No. That was from him. That was his idea.
Oh, the TMZ dude.
Yeah, he suggested
He made that up.
Yeah, he
That's
was
a good
just like,
rumor to have.
I love
That's
that,
a good rumor to
right?
have.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that was a good one.
Okay.
He made that up right there on the spot. And I'm like, I should have tried that at 100 million, not a Billy.
Word.
You know what I'm saying?
I ain't gonna lie.
Yo, Hov, let me get a verse. I can hear that right now. Yo, you bugging. Pop that. Yo, crack that Douce, my. Let's go spend some money. You bugging.
Right. Okay, but let me just be clear with you. As I'm digging into, you got like a whole album. You got a double album with him.
I do. People don't give credit. I do have an album with Hov, the Dynasty album. Yeah, the Dynasty album is a collaboratory album of all of us.
Damn, you right.
You know what I'm saying?
Emil is on that as well.
No, Emil ain't make the Dynasty album. Nah, she ain't make the Dynasty album. Freeway was the new addition on the Dynasty album.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then there's Emil, the female rapper who featured prominently on early Rockefeller tracks, including Can I Get 8? With Jay-Z and J. Rule. She was marketed heavily at first, but disappeared almost instantly after releasing her debut album. She later hinted in interviews that industry politics and misogyny played a role in her departure. She also mentioned that being around that level of fame came with a toxic culture that she couldn't stomach. Whether she left or was pushed out, her career was a prime example of how quickly female talent can be discarded in the hip-hop machine.
How she was not willing to participate in demonic rituals and then just the after parties, the activity they wanted her to participate in. She joined Rockefeller Records. It was only for the intent to make music, okay? So she's admitting that's why she left Rockefeller Records, because she was not willing to participate.
What actually happened, like, between your relationship? Did the relationship go sour with Jay-Z?
Like I said, I mean, I really don't know what happened.
Okay. Till this
It
day.
was never no bad blood between us and nothing.
Nah. Now, from what we heard, and we heard through the grapevine, I guess you said a lot of people was hating on you at the label. Some people was hating on you at the label. I guess the assistants and all that, blocking what you needed to do. I guess why did you, was that part of it? We also heard that, you know, you was dealing with Killer Priest, and that was the reason why they dropped you from Rockefeller. That's what we heard. Did you hear that? And how true it is?
I heard at the time, I might have been dealing with Reese at the time.
Wow.
And as far as there was a lot of hate going on at the label, yes it was. Well, I do believe that had a lot to do with it.
Young artists, many of them black, coming from humble beginnings, getting handpicked by industry titans, only to end up broke, forgotten, or in jail. And the same names keep popping up: Diddy, Jay-Z, Birdman. Whether it's about control, exploitation, or something more sinister, these stories suggest that the music business is not just tough, it's ruthless. And when you stop being useful to the system, you don't just get dropped, you get erased.
I'm hearing rumors that Marvin was gay. And I'm like, was he gay? And Quincy's like, yes. They would have wanted to do that, and I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Well, you mean you couldn't kiss a guy on screen in a movie? Yeah.
No, because I don't fake it.
I couldn't kiss a man either. That's true. And that does not
would me.
I
would cut my lips off. I can't play that character.
Right.
100%. I can't.
Right.
I got a lot of thoughts about this. What? Number one, I don't care that he doesn't want to kiss a man. He has the right to not want to do that. Like that's his values.
That's true.
That's his boundaries. You know what I mean? If he feels like he doesn't want to do that for a role, he has every right to feel like that. Second, I don't know if Terrence Howard is the perfect Marvin Gaye. I know Terrence is a great actor, but I'm like, Marvin Gaye? I don't see Terrence Howard as no Marvin Gaye.
Well, you know, Lenny Kravitz turned it down too. Lenny Kravitz declined the role of Marvin Gaye.
I don't see Lenny Kravitz as no Marvin Gaye either.
Bill Maher said you would have been a great Marvin Gaye. Who do you see as Marvin Gaye?
I don't know. I got to think about it, but it ain't Terrence Howard or Lenny Kravitz. And I know acting is acting, but I just don't see that. And why is Marvin Gaye? Because his last name Gaye? When the hell did Marvin Gaye become gay? When people die, whatever we knew about them when they were dead, I'm talking about the public, it should stay that way. Like
I feel like the thing is, a lot of people may have been saying this, nobody really listened. You know, it's just like with a song, like it could be a really, really great song, and then someone do a cover of it and it makes it more popular. So I feel like because when you talk about Diddy, a lot of people been saying a lot of things about him for years, but now everybody's starting to listen.
Petey Pablo's fall from grace wasn't just bad luck or poor choices. It was the result of challenging a system that doesn't tolerate resistance. The music industry thrives on control, and when artists like Petey refuse to fall in line, they become a threat. Terrence Howard's testimony gives us a rare window into how that control operates, silently, powerfully, and without mercy. Petey wasn't just forgotten, he was erased. His story mirrors what's happened to others who spoke out, pushed back, or refused to be molded into what the industry wanted them to be.
I just feel like there's gay for real, and then there's a point where guys get so much, they're just like, oh.
Yeah, well, it would have been that, but they would have wanted to do that, and I wouldn't have been able to do that.
You mean you couldn't kiss a guy on screen in a movie?
No.
Not even,
No, because I don't fake it. I literally, it has to.
I couldn't kiss a man either. That's true. And that does not
I would cut my lips off.
Yeah, no.
Well, I would. If I kiss some man, I would cut my lips off.
Well, I would not do that. But it does not make me homophobic to not want to kiss a man. Just like lots of gay men are like, yuck. You know, I mean, that's okay. We all have our own. I don't give a no
That's
one wants
fine.
to tell you how to.
Do what you love to do, but don't do it at me. Don't aim it at me.
Yeah, don't aim it at me.
I can't play that character.
Right.
100%. I can't.
Right.
I can't.
You can call me whatever you want. I ain't kissing no man. I don't care if it's $1 billion on the line for the act in a movie. I don't give a sugar. I don't even want to shake your hand in the movie.
Render myself to a place that I don't understand.
Yeah.
And so that's the end part of that story of what I had to
I can
let
understand.
go.
I can understand it. I'm just not of it. I mean, I could certainly understand men attracted to men. I mean, is in nature. You know, animals. There are animals. Many, many, many animals.
Yeah, the bonobo. The bonobo monkeys. They practice it.
Practice it.
They do. All of them. Their whole the whole colony, everything, the bonobos, the entire interaction is.
It can't be all of it if they still make it.
No, but they still do that, but it's seen It's seen in there. It's seen in those places. But for me, with my constitution of what matters as a man, for me, that's the part that I can't.
Maybe the bonobos are gay. Every once in a while, the bonobo thinks he should try, like Elton John when he married that girl in 1989. You know, I mean, we all knew it wasn't going to work. But, you know, you got to give it a shot. Who knows?
As more and more entertainers come forward with stories of exploitation, coercion, and manipulation, it becomes harder to dismiss cases like Petey's as isolated incidents. His journey is part of a larger pattern, a system that builds people up, then breaks them when they step out of line. And thanks to people like Terrence Howard, those stories are finally being heard. So what do you think really happened to Petey Pablo? Was he a victim of the system, or was it just a case of bad choices and bad timing? Let us know in the comments below. Until then, fam, keep it real.
Wow. That's crazy, man. I know one thing. I never knew what happened to him, man. All of a sudden, you're right, he just fell off. He had some hit songs, and he still had some fuel in the gas tank and stuff. Then all of a sudden, he was gone. I never watched Empire, so I never even seen those scenes he was talking about. I refuse to watch it because it's a movie about the music industry. It's a story. It ain't. Are you in the music industry? Everybody used to say to me, "You in the music industry and you don't watch it?" I'm like, nah, man, it's entertainment. I'm doing music. I'm producing music. At least I thought I was. Anyway, man, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Shout out to the World's Largest Rap Contest. Y'all go check out the World's Largest Rap Contest.com. I'm gonna get on up out of here, man. I am tired, but I'm still doing reactions. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.